Hello, dear friends. The deeper the darkness, the brighter our light will shine. Opinion piece. The spell is broken. Sovereignty returns. Choose truth over fear. End of the age of shadows. From control to awareness. They played gods with the borrowed flame. Let's start. They altered the world, but the spell is breaking, according to Paul Gold-Eagle. This implies a return to the sovereignty of consciousness control and the end of the shadow age. In his view, they turned money into debt bondage, nature into their private property, the human body into a commodity, education into programming, and time into a rat race. They didn't conquer with armies, but with systems. Oil replaced free energy. Central banks replaced sovereignty. Fear replaced intuition. And most people lived within the labyrinth. But it was never humanity against humanity. It was a few bloodlines against billions of souls. That math was never going to work forever. Its power only existed while people were distracted, divided, exhausted, and disconnected from the source. It depended on silence and ignorance, and it depended on people believing that the world is this way. That belief is dying. You can feel it in narratives collapsing overnight, institutions losing authority, people questioning everything, and the truth seeping through every crack. That's not rebellion, it's remembrance. This isn't about revenge, it's about settling accounts. When the truth emerges, debts are due. They aren't paid in blood, they are paid in exposure, loss of control and irrelevance. The very systems they built are turning against them because systems cannot survive without belief. What's coming is sovereignty. They played at being gods with the borrowed flame, and now the source is reclaiming it. Millions of hearts are awakening slowly, unevenly but irreversibly, and no dynasty survives awareness. The era of hidden hands is over, and the era of transparency has begun. They know this. That's why everything is so powerful right now. The spell has been broken, and now comes the path they never planned for. The collective is remembering itself. We are reclaiming our minds, our bodies, our time, our attention, and our connection to the source. Sovereignty doesn't look like riots or revenge. It looks like people withdrawing their consent. It looks like questioning narratives. It looks like healing instead of numbing. It looks like unity instead of division. Their greatest weapon was never money, oil, or institutions. It was control over perception, and that control is sleeping. Every time someone chooses truth over fear, the spell wakens. Every time someone listens to their intuition instead of the programming, the network cracks. Every time people unite instead of fighting each other, the illusion collapses. This isn't a fight with weapons, it's a war of consciousness, and that's the one they can't win, because they can't cage consciousness. They can't patent the soul. They can't possess beings who remember they are sovereign. Their power required secrecy. Ours requires only clarity. So their time is up. Not because we were becoming violent, but because we are waking up. And when you see clearly a system built on deception, it dissolves on its own. The old world fed on obedience. The new one is based on self-authority. We no longer ask for permission. We choose ourselves, and that decision changes everything. Sovereignty is restored, and the age of shadows comes to an end. Phase 1. The G0 reset has entered its first active phase according to Ethan White of Gaystellar. The process of dismantling the old debt system and redirecting confiscated wealth to the elite behind the scenes has already begun, but disbursements have not yet been made. Internal systems are active. The QFS is operational, and verified identities are being synchronized. But nothing is easy in this reset. The elite knows what is happening and is interfering. Payment deadlines have already been adjusted. The flow is active, but the delivery time could be delayed. This is not due to technical problems. It is because the system is being attacked by the same groups that profited from slavery for decades. Reset news. Juan Osabin announced that the strongholds of the dark side are being dismantled. They are hunting the hunters. A Black Swan event is expected after several attacks. Michael Jaco and Scott Mackay claim that the dark side is cornered and that the White Hats are executing the denouement with surgical precision. More than 209 countries are clinging to gold-backed currencies for the largest transfer of wealth in history. Iraq, Vietnam, and Zimbabwe have been drastically revalued. Platforms not backed by gold or other assets cannot be transferred to the new system. Your personal QFS account is already set up and contains your personal information. You don't need to set it up. Your account contains funds, money linked to your birth certificate, previous loans, mortgages, and more. There are scammers on Telegram trying to trick you into setting up for your QFS account and charging you for it. There is nothing to set up. They just want to steal your personal information and your money. The system is up and running, and shortly after the bonuses accumulate, the public will be invited to the redemption centers. There they will receive their QFS card and access the wealth that is rightfully theirs. When the time comes, you will be asked to sign a confidentiality agreement, and afterward you won't be able to discuss any of this. The new phones will be given away free of charge at the redemption centers, according to Pastor Bob Joyce. That smartphone will become one of the primary credit tools in daily life for retail consumption and business activities. Prepare your mind and spirit. What appears to be chaos to the sleeping public is precision to those who understand. The worse it looks on the surface, the more devastating the White Hat attack is beneath the surface. This is where the villains scream the loudest because they realize the trap has been set and there is no way out. This is why we stood firm for years. This is why we endured the mockery, the censorship, and the threats, because we knew the day would come when all hell would break loose. That day is today. That time is now. Nothing can stop what is already underway. The war is being won. JFK Jr. is not only alive, but protected, waiting for the precise moment to step forward and deliver the final blow to the cabal that murdered his father and unequal. This is the turning point. Hell breaks loose on them, not on us. The storm reaches its peak. Seismic exposures, market blackouts, public tribunals, and the unmasking of the Matrix. The plan is flawless. What they fear most is that we will awaken and unite. According to David Nino Rodriguez and Juan Osabi, the world is in trouble, but this is our moment of triumph. The House of Cards collapses. An economic meltdown orchestrated by the white hats to expose the fraud. Plummeting stock markets, declining fiat currency, and the gold and silver reset accelerating. As the coalition of wealth sends out more downloads, more starseeds will come forward as whistleblowers, allowing more skeptics to awaken. Everything will seem to accelerate until the shift, and then everything will change instantly, according to Kavamur. Economy. The economic reset has just begun, according to Josh Gammon. Jim Bianco says the stock market bubble is coming to an end. The new gold-backed digital currency on the BRICS changes everything. The IMF warns that the global economy has become dependent on investment in artificial intelligence. If AI replaces workers, who will buy what robots make? A restructuring of the system could pave the way for a new financial order, according to Mark Seder. Big Ware says the economic transition will change the world. Ware claims that silver will be valued at a rate of 1 to 10 with gold. That means 1 ounce of gold will be worth the same as 10 ounces of silver. Miles Harris introduces the concept of the Great Revaluation, a process that promises to transform the future economic landscape through asset tokenization and the adoption of unified ledger technologies. In 28 US states, more than 500,000 people use fake social security numbers. More than 350,000 collect benefits, and nearly 200,000 deceased people also collect them. Mark S. highlights the financial pressure that central banks place on people. People work hard only to see a portion of their income diverted. He argues that the globalist system has failed and that power is beginning to return to the people. Mark Seder summary. The world is watching as storms brew on multiple fronts, from financial markets to the geopolitical landscape, and even weather patterns. As the situation unfolds, he remains vigilant, or will remain vigilant in the hope that things will become clearer and positive changes will occur in the coming days. Davos. BlackRock CEO Larry Fink says the public has lost faith in the elite. Larry Fink claims that the elite is defining the future of the world, but that the public no longer trusts them and wants to change that. James O'Keefe admits in Davos that BlackRock is behind spraying our skies with chemicals. The ability to introduce sulfur dioxide into the upper atmosphere is an economical way to cool the earth, said Emil Luth in Davos. Luth or Lath. Yuval Noah Harari said in Davos, the most important thing to know about AI is that it is not just another tool. It can lie and manipulate. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.